Right now by our friend, former ESPN Radio host, Jared Max. Hey, Jared.
Hey, Steve. How are you, buddy?
I am good. Good to have you here. Okay, so, you realize, do we all realize, I'm sure the NFL realizes how lucky they got 24 hours later, and the Super Bowl would have been snowed out, and no one would have been able to get there, or they couldn't play it. They couldn't get out of that place because yesterday was a disaster.
They would have had to have made changes long before kickoff, Steve. There was going to be about 36 to 48 hour window that they needed in order to make the changes with everybody possibly coming to the game. And you think about it, the weather that we had yesterday took people who normally might have a 20-minute ride home over 2 hours to get just to home. So you can imagine the stress added up. I got to get there for kickoff. I got all this money that I spent for the ticket. The NFL got lucky, and this should, I was just reading today that a lot of cold weather owners of cold weather teams in the NFL all of a sudden think that this, because of success of the Super Bowl, that they have steam, and they're lobbying now for more cold weather Super Bowls. I mean, I think it's truthfully a dumb idea. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I'm a New Jersey guy, a New Yorker. We didn't need the Super Bowl here. I don't know if that sounds terrible. But
well, I like the idea of playing the game in the elements. I don't have a problem with that.
I love that.
Yeah, but
I love that.
But first of all, what it did to this city, I mean, there were stories of people who took buses, and they were on handicap buses, and they had to be dropped off blocks from work in Manhattan because of Super Bowl Boulevard. I mean, it was a disaster from that point of view. And also, the weather, getting people there, and even without the snow, on the train ride from New Jersey to the stadium, the people were fainting from the heat in the station of the train, and just a mess. Anyway, so they lucked out with that, and I don't think we're going to have any more cold weather venues anytime soon. But let me ask you, because you're the expert. I mean, how on earth? I mean, we've had some good Super Bowls lately, but I mean, how is a game like this with a team like Denver, with the record number of points in the record-setting season of Manning, how is it over before it started? How can they do nothing against Seattle?
So, Steve, you remember the way Super Bowls seemed to be 20 years ago? It was the norm. Every game.
There were blowouts.
They were blowouts. It became the norm. And this one brought me back to almost the game when Denver was crushed by Montana and the Niners 55-20.
Yep.
Where teams were out of it before they even had a shot. And that happened, oddly enough, in this Super Bowl. Because it could have gone either way. Most people figured, people like Denver, it seemed, became the emotional pick after Richard Sherman spoke. I mean, what a silly reason to root for a team, especially after he spoke after that. But nonetheless, folks are rooting for Denver. The fact that this game turned out to be the way that it was, it brought me back to it. Look, sometimes one shows up ready to play football, ready to win a football game, and the other team is kind of looking around, wow, we're in the Super Bowl, which surprised me. I didn't think a Peyton Manning team that would happen, but they clearly were not ready. Wes Welker said we didn't really prepare for the noise. The receiver for Denver, and 12 seconds into the game, Steve, I mean, like that, the hike into the end zone, and there's a safety, and
but you talk about, and you bring up a great point. You bring up the point of not being ready and not being prepared. And, you hear it from teams all the time, whether it's an NFL game. They only play 16 games a year. You say, how could they not be ready? You hear it from the Knicks, and you say, well, how could they not be ready? They only play 82 games a year. Still, how could you not be ready? That's what you do. But the Super Bowl, and here's the thing. To me, and I forget who said this, whether it was a comedian or whether it was an amateur or whether it was a professional athlete who said, here's what the pregame speech should be about the coach of Denver should have said, here's Peyton Manning. This man's legacy, this man's history. Go out and give this man the legacy he deserves. Go out and play for this man, like you've never played before. I mean, I would hope something like that took place or something similar. So how could you not be ready?
It's hard to imagine. There was a story, I know you were talking to Tony Dungy about it just a short while ago, and I wanted to ask Tony
Richard
for
Sherman
myself.
with he said he stole the hand signals of Peyton Manning, but Tony Dungy said that he was with Peyton for years and years, and he doesn't even know and with the Colts, and he doesn't even know the hand signals.
Not for nothing, even if you steal a couple signals and you were able to execute, or as they said, jump some plays, be ready for it. There was such a blowout in this football game. I don't think a few plays there made the difference. Seattle was there and so quick on every play. Denver didn't really have time to do anything, and Seattle's defense is what it is. It's so funny, Steve, that number 12, right? The 12th man.
Yeah.
Because 11 guys in the field, so the 12th man, number 12. That's the big Seahawks rallying cry for all their fans. Well, 12 seconds into the game, you have a safety. 12 seconds into the second half, you get a touchdown. All about the number 12 for the Seattle Seahawks. Steve, you mentioned Peyton's legacy.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of talk going into the game. And you wonder about legacy, Peyton's legacy. And my argument going in was Peyton Manning does not need to win another Super Bowl to make him any more than he already is. Sometimes just the very fine line sometimes between winning and losing. Now, this was not a fine line.
Right.
They got trounced.
Right.
I don't think Peyton did anything to help his legacy in this game, but is it really fair to necessarily judge who he is as a quarterback? Look, stats will tell you he's not the winningest quarterback of all time, but have you ever seen a quarterback who made such an art craft of playing the quarterback position?
No,
But
we're a society and a culture that values, and the sports world is a sports world that values championships and puts that at another level. And I think we look at the quarterbacks, the great quarterbacks, and then you say, well, how many championships did they win? I say that about Marty Brodeur and the Devils. I say, Lundqvist. I hate the Rangers, but I say, well, when Lundqvist wins a cup, you let me know. So to me, it doesn't matter what he does in the regular season. If he doesn't win a cup, you can't even mention him in the same breath for various reasons as Brodeur, who's the all-time greatest.
Spoken like a true New Jersey Devils fan.
Yeah, well, I don't know why these days.
I'm keeping my mouth closed here.
But I am. Now, I'm not going to play the bite, but very quickly, that guy who crashed the press conference afterward and started saying that the U.S. took down the Twin Towers. You and I have press credentials. We've been through these events. I've been to 12 Super Bowls. How on earth does someone like that get that close to a player where, God forbid, he could have had a gun or a knife?
Who knows? Maybe he, the same people who let the guy who did the sign language at Nelson Mandela's memorial service.
Yeah, very scary.
I mean, it happens all over. People do somehow slip through the cracks.
All right, my friend, always great to see you.
We're done.
Jared, you sound like my son when I used to put him on the
No
air.
cake, no coffee.
Jared Max, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, Dinesh D'Souza in an exclusive on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.